And then
Okay.
with the multi-days, it has like one little line where you can see that bold part, the work
Hmm.
order number, and then like a time, but you don't see any of the other details. Just wondering if there's a way to make that a little bit longer and bigger
Hmm.
so that they can see more detail.
Yes, sure. Let me, first of all, when you go to print here, let me go to the print function. Let's go to print. Is that where you're going to print?
Yep, yep.
Okay, we're just going to use the virtual. Let's just use the universal printer. Okay. That should create like a PDF of that. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. All right. So what I can do is there's a programmer that helps us with these tools, these additional add-ons that we have. This one definitely, yes, I can see that. Okay, let me see if I go to the second page. So just created one page. Let me just see something here really quick. Go back and what if we make it like that? Let me see what the result will be. So this is the preview supposedly here. So when we go like that, is this okay with you the way it is?
Yeah, the only thing is if it had more detail, so they
Sure.
could see kind of like in the week view, it gives, if it's just a day trip, it gives a lot of detail, but when it's multi-day, it just gives like the
Sure.
one line kind of like that and doesn't give a lot of information.
So
And
let me see if
they
I
just like,
can do a preview on this one. Oh yes, you're right. I think it's well, it's cutting off because obviously it's just printing what's on the screen. It looks like.
mhm.
So whatever it's in the view, it's what it's
Okay.
printing. So just 1 minute. I'll be right back. One second, please. Okay. So um, the way that this shows right now, this preview, um, you're saying that you like to see like more days. Is that what you're looking for?
Just more detail, like
More detail.
on that one screen when you had it pulled up and it had like the work order number,
Oh,
it
I
was a
see what
one
you mean.
view.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
it
see
gave
what you.
like where it was picking up and where it was going to. But then if it's a multi-day trip, like, the week long, it only gives like the one line kind of like it does here in the month view, where you just see the work
Okay.
order number and then 1201. It doesn't say like where it's picking up from and going to.
Oh, I see. Okay, I understand
Yeah.
now. So you're talking about the content of the calendar, that
Right. Yep.
the bar, this bar.
Right. Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And when you
Um,
go to the week view, I think the ones that are just day trips, they fill in more information, like, time wise. If it was like an 8-day trip, it kind of covers like that, 8-hour time frame, but and it gives more details in
like
there.
that.
You like that one? Yes. Yes.
Okay.
But then when you have like if they were gone Thursday through Saturday, all you can see is just that very top like work order number and the time, and it's
Okay.
not long like that where they can see a little bit more
Okay.
detail.
So let me look at let me this. So you're okay with this format because it has the work
Yep.
order number, it has the
Right. The
information.
only thing with that is it's because of the blue, it's a little bit dark, so when we print it, it's hard for them to read it.
Okay.
So I was just wondering if there was a way to
Yes,
change
I
the last
know.
color.
I know that there are themes that you can select. I think right now. I'm pretty sure that I don't have that function enabled. Um,
Okay.
so I know that you can with this you can change the theme, and you could. I'm going to experiment with a couple of them, and I'm going to actually print one right now, and then try experiment with different themes and see which one gives you the best result with this. So okay, so the week you're okay with this weekly view.
Yep.
Um, it's the weekly view, but it's you're saying
The
that
multi-day. Yep.
multi-day.
Yep, like that one there. So
Hmm.
you can only see the work order number with the time and that it's basically Monday through Friday, but you can't see where it would be leaving from and going to, um,
Right.
just on printed
And
out
so
information.
because you're trying to print this and send it to the driver, then it doesn't have the information on the bar. So,
Right.
okay, let me
Yep.
see what it does now. As you can see, I was experimenting with this. Let me see. Okay, ignore. Okay, let me find the order number 4396. 4396. And the day is on, so this is a multi-day leaving on the 19th.
Yep.
Okay, and then this is coming back on the 23rd. So it must be 4396. This is a demo site, so I'm not sure. But okay, I know what to look for.
Okay.
I'm going to put some
Yeah, if
information
that
there, and
box
then
was just a little bit longer and had a little bit more info, that would be perfect.
yes, I will do that. That actually makes more. That actually does make sense. You want to print it, and then so that give them as much information as you can.
Right.
Yes, I will bring it up with the programmer that's helping us with the calendar, because there's a company in England. They're in UK, and they are helping us with this part of the system, which involves the calendar and also the HTML editor.
Okay.
So I will discuss that with them and see what we can do, and then also the theme. So let me
Right.
write
Yep.
it
The theme
down.
would be perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So
Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and write it down here. Let's see. Um, change the theme. I assume you have some like multi-day, like out of town type.
Right. Correct.
Okay, I'm gonna save that. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and get started here. I was gonna cover a few things. There were some new features they're almost finished. This is I'd say probably 100% done now. We're just doing some testing. I'm not sure if you've actually seen this feature or not. The customer feedback page. You can actually um, send this from the let me see if this one has it. I think this one does. Okay, so basically, um, when you have a booking here and you want to send that to the customer, you can. You have the option of sending now the reminder, or you could send it as a trip feedback. So in in the past, in our previous versions, you normally would send a confirmation to the customer or driver in PDF format. But in this release, what you can do is send formatted HTML to the customer or the driver. So that way they don't need to open a PDF, and sometimes their phones might not have a PDF reader enabled, and so they may not be able to read the information. So the nice thing about HTML formatted emails is that it can be opened on their tablet, they could be opened on their phone, and they can easily read it. So what you can do here, for example, about this trip, if you want to send that to the driver, let me go ahead and select the driver that we can test. So I'm going to go ahead and assign a driver here that has our email. So here, for example, Herbert is assigned to this booking, and I can go and say, okay, send a reminder to this driver. Of course, I can send it also as a trip offer, but let's just send a reminder, and then you'll see just a second that it shows up in the inbox, and then it has the information, and you can format this information. So, like, for example, if you want to change the wording, you can go into the editor, system, setup, and outgoing messages. You'll notice that we have driver and we have customer messages. So we have this one is a driver reminder, and so I can go in there and say, okay, I want to change this to trip information. If you don't want to use the word reminder, so you can change that, and then that becomes your format. You can do whatever you want with this, and format it any way you want. If you want to get their attention on a certain time, or you can make that bold and save it. So that's how you can format the messages, the outgoing messages. Now, why do we have text messages and we have HTML? Well, in some cases, like if you're sending the text message, a text message obviously cannot be HTML because it's just going to go out at some special character. The driver won't be able to read it. So that's why we have in here SMS. So you can also format now your SMS messages. So you could before we had an embedded format that you were kind of stuck with, and you had to use that format. You didn't have the option to change the layout of the outgoing SMS message. Now you can. So you can go in there, and you don't want to show the amount that you're paying. You can delete that and then save that. Again, that becomes your format. So that's what makes it nice, is that you can actually customize these, and soon we'll give you the option to be able to also customize your outgoing messages for the auto reminders. So auto reminders right now is also a kind of an embedded format. So it's a layout that we came up with for one of our customers. Initially was testing it, but now we want to give you the option to change that and to create the message any way you like. So now, if you notice that we send the reminder, but we can also send that same message as a trip offer. So now if I send that to the driver as a trip offer, your driver will see the options for accepting the trip and en route, and you'll have these options in here for the driver to respond. Okay. Okay, same thing when you're emailing customers. So let's say, for example, you want to send a reminder to a customer from the dispatch grid. So you can go in there and say, okay, let's send this customer a reminder. Well, that's probably because I don't have, let me find one that has a customer assigned. Let's see here. I think some of this, these might, yeah. So I can send one to this one, I believe, email customer. There we go, okay. So I can send a reminder to this customer. And of course, if the customer already had the email, it would have shown here. I'm just going to type it in. So now the customer is going to get the reminder. And again, you can format that any way you like. Okay. Same thing. They don't need to have a PDF reader to see the trip reminder. Okay. Let's go back to this again. And those are the two new things that we've added, the reminders, and of course the customer, emailing customers about the trip. So for example, I can send a trip feedback request. Now a lot of times you send the trip feedback usually when the trip is completed and we're applying maybe a final payment. You want to come in here and do this, and especially for those trips that you have questions, if the customer was happy or not. You want to find out, so you can go in here and say, okay, is the customer happy about this trip or not? Of course, again, it would automatically put in the email for me. I just don't have one in there for this driver, for this customer. So I'm going to type it in. Now the customer is going to respond, and you'll be able to see that information in the trip. Your feedback. So now I can say, okay, it's happy, and the customer, then it's going to update the information here for us on this trip. Okay, the customer gave us five stars. This is the customer feedback. We can also get a feedback on the driver, but if they're not happy, they can put in notes as why they're not happy they were not happy with the service. So you can keep this information as part of the work order. So this part of the system is pretty much complete. I think we're like at 99% completion. It's working. We're just doing some final testing with some of our customers, and then you can start using it and record this information with each trip. Again, I like the customer feedbacks, but I don't like to see like a feedback page that is too long. I don't want to have to. If I'm happy with it, I just want to be able to just say I'm happy with the service. I'm getting almost one every day from different companies about different services. Airlines are sending me feedback page, pages on an email. We're getting from even like small oil change. You're getting feedback requests, and sometimes it's annoying. And I think we want to keep it to the minimal. It's like you're happy, okay, that's fine. You just press here, and I think this accomplishes that. Um, it, if they're happy, then that's all you want to know is they're giving you 5 star. If they're not happy, you want to know why, and they have a place where they can type in their message and their notes, and you'll see that. So that's the way we want to approach it. But again, we are just experimenting with all this, and we like to get your feedback on this and see what is going to be the better solution. Of course, what we will come up with is not always the optimal solution for everyone, and so that's what we're trying to accomplish here, is to see what is the best way to implement this feature. But all the ingredients, everything is ready. We have all the different web pages and the feedback page. Everything is ready to go. So it's just a matter of implementation now. Okay, so let's go back to our page here where we're talking about HTML editor, and so again, in the past few months, we changed our editor, and now we have a complete HTML editor in the system, so that you can go in and modify your outgoing emails And so, for example, if you have multiple people in your company, like in here we have Anthony, and then we can have Jay, and each one can have their own um, standard templates that they work with their own information on it. So I can have, in here, the high, I believe it's percentage now. We've changed that. Customer first name percentage. I think we're going to be using the percentage from now on, but let me see. In this one, we might have, yeah, customer first name. It's all lowercase, by the way. I think you don't need the. So these are the tags. These are the tags. So the customer first name. Oh, I have the insert on. That's why it's doing that. Okay, so customer first name, percentage customer first name percentage, and then I can say thank you for your request for a quote. I am happy to provide this attached. And then I can put in here my information. And Shift Enter gives you the just next line. Enter in HTML usually gets you 2 lines. So I'm just going to put that in, and I can put in my own number, my personal number in there for them to contact me in case they need to call me. Okay, so now I have my own template for quotes. So when I go to print a quote, and to go to print it, now I can, when I choose email, I can go ahead and select the J. Okay, so the customer, if the customer had a first name, of course, in there, would have automatically put in there. I think this one doesn't have a complete record. I was just experimenting with some records, but it should put the customer's first name in there for you, and then you just click send. So it's a big time saver. You don't have to keep typing the same thing over and over again. Okay. Now, if you need to create really sophisticated HTML pages, we like this one, this html-online.com. So what this does, if you look in here on the right, you see the HTML, and then here on the left is where you type what you want. Here's the information, and then you can actually, this is a much more powerful editor, but I can simply use it and copy the code, copy the HTML to my driver HTML page. Now, why do I want to use this? Well, because it's got a lot of nice functionality. It's a little bit easier and for editing. But if you just want to copy, all you have to do is just select this whole thing here and copy it. So right there, that's the HTML part of the editing. So I'm going to go back to my editor, and I can go into one of my standard letters, for example, and paste that in. I believe you can just paste that in here, and that should come out exactly the same way. So HTML is just basically a formatted text that most browsers and email clients will be able to translate for you. And so you can use HTML dash online for editing, and then just simply paste it in here if you need to. If you want to make really, nice looking HTML pages with different types of, you can do most of that in here too, but they just have more functionality, and we like the editing function of this one. It actually can also clean out some of the unwanted HTML tags. Okay, so you have that option too. If you want to take advantage of it, you can do that. Okay. So again, the advantages of the HTML editor is that you can format it any way you like, get their attention, put certain things in bold. And that's the new HTML editor. Okay, we've covered this. This logging features, as far as like what changes you've made to an order, it's coming soon. We are experimenting with this in several places. Basically, you'll be able to easily see what's going on with each order, and you can see like who's changing what from which station and which user is changing this information. The return time was changed from 10:15 to 9 in this case. So as you can see, you can read the logs better. We have an existing log, but it's a lot harder to read, and so the goal is to make the logs easy to read. For example, we have now the field name, so you can see that okay, the return time was changed by this user on this date at this time, and the order number was 83357, and the return time was changed from 10:15 to 9. The return date was changed from 4/20 to 3/21, and you can see that also here the total, the amount was changed from they zeroed out the amount for whatever reason. Okay, and then you can see drop-off city was changed from, the first line of the address was changed from Springfield to Aries base. So the log is a lot easier to read. So that's our goal, is to have it so that you can just look at this and see. Before we had just the field names in the existing log system. We have the field name, but that's a lot of times that really doesn't mean anything to the user. Like ETY FID, that's equipment type foreign ID. In case of like a programmer can understand what that field name is, but the average user will definitely not understand what that is. So what you can do is when you click on view, you can see that the equipment type was changed from 54 to 0. And same thing with vehicle. So the vehicle was changed from 175 to this new value called office. So driver was changed. You assign a new driver. Okay. So this is coming soon. It's being tested in a couple of places, and you'll be able to use it. Like currently, the one that we have, I can show you the log here. It's a little bit harder to read. As you can see, the field names are not, really easy to understand. Not everyone will be able to. Some of it you can understand, you can easily see, like the company name was changed. The red just shows that the company name was changed in this order. Okay. So we're working on that. And what else? Go back to this here. Okay, so as far as questions, we've had some questions on setting up the Elavon account for the integration, and that we have videos on that. There's actually videos that you can watch on the let me go in here, tv.driveware.com, and there's actually a video that goes over the Elavon credit card processing, shows you step by step. One of the things that was a question on, and I think Anthony was able to help our one of our customers that switched to Elavon. It had to do with the setting up the user. And in this video, I think in about like 2-3 minute mark, it shows you exactly what to do with setting up that user inside the Elavon Converge um, web portal. And then once you have that user, you can come in here in Driveware and go to Receipts, Credit Card Processing, Elavon, and it requires that username. So there's the username, and then there's a PIN that it generates. You copy that from their system to ours. And then of course you need your merchant ID. So the merchant ID and the PIN are, easy to find, on their webpage. But this user was a little bit of a problem understanding where that was. And in the video covers it, but you have to kind of like watch it carefully to see that information. Okay, so that was one of the questions we had this week. And then the other question was about website integration. Website integration, basically, the way we have it right now is that we have a couple of templates, just a few templates that you can choose from. Obviously, when it comes to requesting a quote or entering a new reservation, every company is a little bit different. We have companies that have, that are dealing with sedans and, sometimes party buses. And then we have a lot of motor coach type operations where, you have a group type transportation. So each one have their own unique requirements. And so we've been talking here with our programmer, and one thing we could do is offer you a web service so that you can concentrate and work with your own web designer and create your own pages for reservation. But when they submit that information, we can basically give you a web service where you can save that information in our system. So basically, it'll pass that data to our web service, and so you won't have to re-enter that information. One of the main things is to avoid retyping the itinerary, the dates, the times, so there's less chance of error. And so if they're requesting, let them put in all the information, and we'll give you a functionality where you can, your web designer can basically save that same information in Driveware. That's one option that we're looking at, and I think that's probably doable. It's not that complicated. Of course, we have to have the related table fields that you're dealing with in our service. And the other option would be to have maybe several different formats, like one for party bus, type reservation, and then one for maybe a template for an airport transfer, one for a multi-day type um, tour, and then maybe one for just a sedan type transportation. Because we have companies that have one or all of these services. We have some companies that have all of these services, and some that just have the party bus, and some have just the the coaches. So each one, each type of reservation request for quote could be different. So again, this is something that we would like to get your feedback. We like to see um, you know what you think, what would be the best solution for this. Obviously, the whole purpose of this is to reduce typing, reduce, re-entering the same information. Let the customer do some of that for you. Don is asking, um, okay, Don just joined us and he has a question on, will you be able to check the log by order number or by date? Yes, by order number, Don. You can check by order number. I don't think that we have it. I mean, of course, you can do it by date also, because by default, I believe is by date. But you could also, yes, you can do it by date. And I think you click by this procedure date time, you can actually put in the order number. So both. Yes, you can do it with both. So let me see if I have one order number here. 83362. So I can say 83. Wait a minute. 829, yeah. So just do that one. Okay, so yes, you can search by order number and it'll show you the users who changed it at what time. But the purpose, like I said, in this new log is to make it easier to read. Yeah, so you can do that. You can do it by date or time. Yes, yes. Don says that he came in towards the end of that segment. I'm recording this session, so this session will be available shortly after online, so you can watch the recording. Alex, I'd like to cover a couple of new things. One of the questions that we had was in regards to IFTA reporting, which I will cover. Okay. Don, we covered, just really quickly, we covered the customer feedback status feature. You can see that in the recording, and then we covered the HTML editor. mm, Reminders, HTML reminders to drivers and customers. So you'll see that in the video. So I'm going to just show you really quickly about IFTA reporting and how does our system deal with IFTA and the reporting and the fuel purchases. Okay, so I'm going to go into back to the system here. One of our orders. And normally, what we've done is we have come up with these trip sheets that has the tables for the drivers to fill out. Okay, some of you are already using them, and it's been some of our standard templates have that. So if you look in, like, if you print one of our trip sheets, you'll see that it has the spot for the driver to write the odometers and the fuel purchases and the amount in on the trip sheet. And as you get these trip sheets back from the drivers, you can go back to the same order. And so when you're reconciling and you're going to close out that booking, you can go into the fuel tab and actually enter that information. And so you have all of those records saved with the trip detail. Okay, so you would put in the odometer at the start and odometer at the end. And so it calculated 1,000 miles or kilometers. And then if you purchased any fuel, you would put that in there. And of course, you can also categorize this by state. So you could say, okay, this was all in California, and I save that. So it's saved. It's saving, and I can put multiple entries in here. I might have traveled in California, Arizona, Nevada.
Oh, no, that's
So you
okay.
can put that information in here. Once that information is saved,
Okay.
then
Yeah.
then you can go ahead and I'm sorry, this came up here. So you can go ahead and
Okay.
look at this information by going into
Monday through Thursday, 5:30
fuel
to 2:30.
usage and print your
Okay.
IFTA worksheet.
That sounds great.
Okay. Uh, so you can do it by date range and you can do
No,
it by
and you said
vehicle
that
type.
starts May 18th, right?
Going to just, if you
Okay.
don't mind.
All right.
Okay. So here, if you notice that we can do it for like each quarter, we can run the report by quarter. And in this latest version, you can also run it by a specific vehicle type. And of course, each vehicle, you could even have a place here where you can say this is a non-IFTA vehicle. So we have some cases where some of our customers have vehicles that are non-IFTA, so you don't really want to show anything on those vehicles, even though you have recorded the miles and the fuels. So you can do that. You can exclude those vehicles from the list, and you can also run that report. You notice that it's on the file, fuel usage and tax, and you can run it by the date range. So this would be like the quarter that you want to report on. So it generates the report for you, and it has all the calculations done. Okay. Now a lot of almost all states now have their own web portal, so you can to basically use this worksheet and file your taxes. Okay. And this is all saved along with each order. One of the problems that we saw with one of our customers in Nevada, in Las Vegas, was that they were entering a lot of these fuel records from the worksheet. But one of the issues is that you have to make sure that the they have associated, of course, states. Otherwise, the report might not match. And so one of the things that we did was, I believe we created a feature where you can send this information to your own email and as an Excel file. And then that way you're able to see the information formatted so that you can check everything. Okay. And then what the main problem was that a couple of the entries had no states associated with them. Like what the person was entering forgot to put the state associated with that fuel purchase or for that with that mileage. And so when I created the Excel file, it was easy to see because there was no state associated with that. And then of course you can also click on the jurisdiction column and see if there are any blanks, and then deal with that as well. Like in this case, I don't have any problem with this because there's only 2 records. But if there were a lot of entries, I could just simply sort it by that column and then see which one is missing the state and then deal with that. But yeah, it's a really nice feature because you have all the records associated with each movement, and so if you ever get any kind of audit, it's easy to find where that information is because it has a work order associated with each fuel record, with each movement. Okay. So it's interesting that when we do uh, these training, just group training sessions, we show you some of the features, and then sometimes you don't know that that feature exists there, or you find a usage for it, and you start using it, and you benefit from it. Like I think Don is in the middle of implementing the time card system, and so um, that feature has been there, and a lot of our customers use it every pay period, and they love it because it just creates a very detailed time card sheet that they can give to the driver, and there's less inquiry from the driver. Well, why didn't I get this? How come my paycheck is this? Does it include this order? Does it include that order? So this actually saves a lot of time because then you're seeing, giving that information to the driver, and it has all of that. Um, of course, it's a lot faster if you had standard pays, but we're finding that some of our customers have really unique way of paying their drivers. So um, uh, it works best when you have um, like standard pay by the hour, and then you may have some additional miscellaneous pay that you need to add. It has a automatic calculation feature here that it can create the default pay rates for all of your drivers. And so when you click this button, it automatically creates the record. It works if you have standard pay rates and you've already assigned those pay rates to the driver's payroll record. So Anthony has a standard pay record of $17 per hour. So our system automatically will generate that for you when you click this create default pay rate. You see it created it right here. And then you can grab the gratuity from the sales order. So if you click this button, if there are any, in this case there was one, so there was a gratuity record for this driver, and I can print that. So there's the gratuity of 51.25, so it totals it for me. So you don't need to go and look for those in each order. It will grab it for you and add it to the pay. And this way you can print it for one driver, or you can print it for all drivers. Okay. Now, if you make a mistake and maybe you were changing some pay rates, and you created the time cards, and you want to start over, you can just say delete time cards in this pay period. So it'll delete them, and then you can start over again. So you can say again, I'm going to recreate it. There, it recreated it. Okay. So those are some of the features that are there, and I'm seeing that some of our new users are starting to use it and benefit from it. I think those are some of the things those are almost all the things that we've had in the list of questions, and the new features. See, I think Don has a question here. Are you able to add pay for things that are not trip specific, such as sick pay or yes. Let me show you. Good question. Okay, so for example, here it created the time card for the hours, right? And now if I have some sick pay or vacation pay that I need to pay the driver, I can click the insert. This would be the manual insert. And I can go in there and say pay type, and then I can, if sick pay is not in there, I can add it. So I can say this is a sick pay, and it may be by the hour, and then the rate for that sick pay. It's taxable. So now I can say that, okay, I'm going to pay this driver 4 hours worth of sick pay, totaling $40. There. So when you print this, it should say, I think this one doesn't actually show the type, but there is, you can actually show the type that it is the sick pay. Okay, so you can add sick pay, you can say vacation pay, so you can say insert, and then let me see if there is a vacation pay. So there is not, so I can add it. So it's just a one-time add. Again, it could be a flat rate that you put in manually, or it could be an hourly rate. So I can say it's a vacation pay, but I'm going to put in, it's going to be taxable, and I'm going to put in $150. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Now it's part of, you can pay it associated to one work order. You don't have to actually, you can insert it as a manual entry. You can define your own types any way you like, type of pay. Okay. All right, well, I think we are out of time, but if you have any questions and if you have suggestions for us, please let us know. Send us an email, give us your suggestions. Pam asked me about printing on the calendar. I'm going to look into that. She's looking for a way to get more information on the reminder calendars. By the way, in the reminder calendars, you can actually create calendar events that are not even, they don't have to be specific to your trips or services. You could actually create, like say for example, we need a reminder calendar for today. I can go in here and say it's going to be a driver meeting. I just right click on that day, and it's going to be a meeting, and I want a reminder every 15 minutes, and it's going to be, say, drivers should come to. So you could even have it pop up with messages. Let's just say we can say that this is going to be starting at 11 a.m. and it'll end on 11:45. Okay. So when I come into the system, I should be able to see a reminder when you first log in. You should see a reminder for that day. I think it does that on a timer. So if you notice, it has a reminder icon. It's a little bit hard to see. And this is something that Pam pointed out also, that the theme that we have is a little dark in the background. But you can see that it's got a little reminder icon, and it will remind you that there's a meeting today. So everybody who logs in, they'll be able to see that. So by the way to use that is just right-clicking and clicking on Insert Miscellaneous Event. Okay. Okay, so we're out of time. So if you have any questions, please let us know, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next meeting. Thank you.